Hi there, this is the video lesson for lesson 2. I thought it would be a good idea to create a video for this because there's a few things you may want to see again and again, just with regards to technique, just reminders and things like that. So obviously we've covered this kind of stuff in the class, but let's go over the things again that we've done in the class today, just so that you've got that extra reminder of the old things that we've had a look at. So the first thing is that we've got two different pentatonic positions that we're going to have a look at today. So whereas in the first lesson what we were doing is just simply playing the pentatonic scale up and down a single string and so on and so forth, or if you're doing it on other strings as well, then of course you can do it like that. But what we're doing now is we're going to think across the neck this time. So whereas if you'd learnt any of the minor pentatonic positions, you can play them, across the neck. Obviously it's not going to sound great because I've got my guitar tuned to open the E, but with these ones here they're going to give you a similar kind of framework that we're going to look at doing today with some example licks a little bit later on. So the first one, a couple of sheets here, first one looks like this, okay, and it's got an open E tuning, E minor pentatonic scale 1, followed by a similar one in pentatonic scale 2. So I'm going to go through those now and just sort of show you what they sound like. Which oddly enough sounds like an E minor pentatonic scale, but here we go anyway. So here's number 1. Okay, and then the second one. So I'll do that again. Now on these sheets, the zeros represent the root notes and the X's represent all the other notes in the scale. So just so that you know with that. Okay, now the main issue that you're going to have with these is muting, changing between two strings at a time. So we're going to start off just by this very simple exercise, which you should find a tab sheet in the lesson that's for. We're going to start off just by playing this note, it's E string at the 12th fret, going to E string at the 10th fret, then going to B string at the 10th fret, B string at the 12th fret. Now if we played these without muting, it'd sound a little bit like this. So you can hear two strings ringing out there, which is not the sound that we're looking to try and get here. So what we're going to do is first thing we need to sort out is with your right hand. With this bit here, you can see I'm using a thumb pick. It doesn't matter if you're not, that's okay. But my thumb is going to mute the first 4 strings of the guitar. So what was the E, A, D, G, but is now the E, B, E and G sharp strings. And these two fingers here are going to actually be doing the playing for us today. So I'm going to start with my second finger. That's going to be playing the first string. Going from the 10th to the 12th fret. And my first finger is going to be doing some muting, actually muting that second string there. So it's going to be resting on that. Now when I come to change strings, my first finger is obviously going to pick that string, but my second finger is going to be muting that first string, so it's going to go like this. Pick and mute. So you can hear that when I do that, the first string is cancelled because my second finger is moving on it, so it's resting on it. Okay, so give that a try a few times. The next one goes like this. Now on this one, my third finger is actually resting on that first string there, stopping that ringing out completely because we're not using it. And these two fingers, my first and second fingers again, are doing the playing and the muting on the second and third strings up. And my thumb is muting the first 3 strings like that. So you're always in control of the strings that you want to ring out and the strings that you don't want to ring out as well. Okay, so that again. Okay, so one more thing that's happening here as well is that after I've played this, I'm on the 10th fret at the moment. I'm going to be then moving to the 11th fret, sliding to the 13th. So there's a bit of a gap as I finish that, mute that string, move the slide, and then pick the next string at the 11th fret, which is 1 fret higher. Similarly here, I'm at the 13th fret and need to move back to the 12th fret. So after I've done this, mute the string, slide and pick. So you get the idea. You've got to keep it nice and clean. Now you can do these sort of patterns over 3 strings as well by using, again, these 3 fingers. So maybe you could get something going like this. And again, my thumb's always muting the thicker strings. So give that a try and see how you do with it. Okay, so here's the first of the example licks. I'm going to play through it and talk you through the things that you need to work on when going through these individual licks. So here we go, here's the first one. Okay, so with this one here, you're better off starting with just looking at the first couple of bars. Sorry, you have to excuse me, I've got a little bit of paper with a lick on over here. So as we're doing this, you can see we're changing between the first and second strings whilst doing this. So you can see with these fingers here that when I pick one string, I'm using my first 2 fingers by the way, when I pick on the first string, one of my fingers is muting the other one, because otherwise you just get this. So that's the first important thing you need to look at for this. The next bit is the step down through the 3rd, 4th and 5th strings. Okay, so what I'm doing with this, after I've played the first example, my whole hand is moving. It actually moves up 2 strings, so as before I was just playing the first 2, my thumb then moves from muting the 4th string up to the 3rd string up to the 5th string. Quick change, and then of course I'm using these 3 fingers, and also notice as well that these 2 fingers here, these 2 fingers here are going to be muting the first 2 strings like that. Do that again. So all the strings are covered all the time when I'm playing it right. Okay, so here's example 2. So again. Okay, now I played it slightly differently those 2 times. First time I used my thumb for picking 2 strings, which you can do if that's comfortable for you. The second time I used my thumb to pick 1 string and my fingers to pick another. So let's just go over the first one, first part of that phrase, first couple of bars. So that's pretty straightforward. All you've got to think about is just how you articulate it. The slide's very important during that. So I'm sliding up, and I'm stopping the note and picking it again, sliding to the 10th fret and back, then I'm muting it, and then sliding again up to the 12th. So without the slide it would sound like this. But with you get that beautiful articulation that's associated with slide guitar. Okay, next bit. So you can hear there, very quick slide down from the 12th to the 10th fret, which is indicated on the tab by the 12 being like a very small note. There's 2 notes, but it's counted as 1. So you've got to spend a little bit of time on that 12th and move away as quickly as possible. And then mute it as you move to slide up to the 12th. Okay? Okay, and here is example 3. So you can see with this one we're using 2 strings, we're using some double stops for playing this one. So you can see I'm sliding to the 15th, for example, I'm doing some stuff on the 12th and coming back down again. I'm using my first 2 fingers to play this, and my 3rd finger yeah, third finger to mute that. So as I'm doing that, my third finger is rested on the first string to stop it muting. These two fingers are using to play, and of course my thumb is muting the three thicker strings. Now for that step down, two fingers are picking at the same time, then resting on the string as to mute it as I move the slide. So you're getting the same effect as if you were to just fret the notes like this. And for the final bit, that's a very important part of it, because I'm plucking two strings, then just plucking one of them. I'm plucking the second string, and my first finger is muting the third string, if that makes any sense. Finishing with my thumb picking the D string. Okay. Also as well, I can let my thumb pick that D string because my slide isn't actually resting on the two thicker strings, so it doesn't matter if they're muted or not. So the thumb can get away with doing that when the strings don't even need to ring out in the first place. They're actually muted with these fingers sitting behind it. So I'm not too sure if you can see from there. Let's try and angle this camera right. See, these strings are muted here. There's no chance of them ringing out. So yeah, might want to give that a try. Okay, here is example 4. This one's a little bit more tricky because you're using quite a few strings, so be careful of your muting on this one. So here's how it goes. So I'm using my thumb to mute a lot of these ones as I'm moving over. So I'm also using my thumb to play a lot of those ones as well. So on the top bit, see, my thumb's still catching those, but it's also playing the third and the fourth string. That's probably a bit worth working on its own, making sure you can get those notes nice and clean. Okay, and then towards the end of it, okay, making sure you can get your thumb to just skip and use those while these fingers actually mute the strings. Because what you've got to remember is that when you're playing on the thick strings, you've got to mute these ones. So these fingers are actually more now concerned with muting strings than they are with actually playing them. Because when you're playing on the thinner strings, it's okay, your slide can not necessarily cover them, but when you're playing on these ones, you've really got to take care to mute these thinner strings. So be careful with that. This is an example. Okay, so here's example 5. Okay, so this one, there's more double stops going on at the beginning. And I'm also using my third finger, remember, to mute the first string. Then they move down. A quick change there. See, it all moves down. And again, watch you muting there as you change strings and move to the 11th and 13th frets respectively. A lot of some of these notes can be rung out as well, which gives a very cool sound. Now at the end, now what I'm actually doing here is I'm angling my slide around, so I'm getting approximately the 15th fret on the first string, the 14th fret on the second string. Now don't worry if you get it exactly on, because you're actually going to be moving the slide at the same time. It's just to give the impression that you're doing this. Okay, so I'll do the whole lick again, and just watch out for that. Okay, so have a go at that. So here's what I'd like you to do this week. Okay, I would like you to have a go at learning these licks. I'd like you to have a go at playing the examples I've just given you. See if you can get them as clean as possible. Watch your muting, watch your accuracy, and remember to practice them with a backing track as well. This is very important. The next bit I'd like you to have a look at is to writing a few simple examples yourself. So either using more, along the neck, sort of linear sort of examples, or the examples that are in the first minor pentatonic positions that I've given you just then, or a combination of both, whatever you see fit. But keep it simple and make sure you can play them. I'd much rather you write some simple licks that you can play really, really well than write some really complicated stuff that you can turn up next week with and not actually play. So see what you can do with this, and good luck. Hope you're still enjoying it. See you soon.